think that means? My presence will go with you.
He's going to be with you.
Looking at it with good letters, just face the cloud in the sky.
You want to break that down, Elder?
If it didn't, Moses said, if you're not gonna be with us, then don't have us move. And we're not gonna move unless you move. So later on.
Can I read it? Can I read it, Elder?
Go ahead.
16. For wherein shall it be known that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth? 17. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Mashah, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. Oh, Salat, I read down too far. I apologize. Oh, I was supposed to start at 13, everybody. Please forgive me. I started down too far. I was supposed to start at 13, and that was my fault. Salat. Exodus chapter 33, verse 13. Now, therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. Verse 14, Shamar, I apologize. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. 15.
All right. Yeah, finish it up.
And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence.
So that's the cloud. If the cloud moved, then we moved. If the cloud stayed, then we stayed. Okay, you got any more on that?
Khan and the water. So we can see if anybody doesn't have any differences on this. I believe it might be written that Hamashiach in the New Testament was the rock from which sprang forth the living waters. That he was. He has a lot of different. I don't want to say like. Well, I'm gonna say like titles, And in the Old Testament, we can see that. Let me see. I'm going to read this, and just tell me what everyone thinks about this. This is Jusinius, the Hebrew Chaldean lexicon, and it says pan yam, and it's from the word panah, right? And it says the face. It says to turn oneself in any direction, to turn oneself in any direction for the course or use. Please compare Salakia. Okay, Khan. So if you get a chance, look at the different comparatives of what Yahweh Shai is mentioned as the pillar of fire by night, the cloud by day, the rock. He's mentioned as the burning bush, the general that stood before Joshua, and also the angel that was before Abraham when Abraham was petitioning for the Lord. So I'd like to teach when I speak to non-messianics these different places, and it does cause a bit of stir. But there's different places where Yahweh says that, the angel of the Lord will be with him. I yield the floor.
Go ahead. Take it up at 18.
Exodus 33:18. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before thee. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. Verse 20. And he said, thou canst not see my face, For there shall no man see me and live. And Yahweh said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, when my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in the cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by, and I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. Kol Asherah, the body Yahweh, Na'ishah, Shema. All that Yahweh said, what we do in here.
God. So, Moses also requested to actually see the Most High, the Most High told him, he's not allowed to look at my face, I'll show you the backside. Also, I want to point out verse 19 right there where he says, I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy to on whom I will show mercy. That applies to everyone, in case people are aware. It's not just applying to Israel. There are different parts where the Most High did show mercy to other nations. Do you believe this is still HaMashiach that he saw?
Hey, Shalom, I'm here.
I was asking, you think this is HaMashiach that he saw?
Well, no, I believe that Masha was talking to the Most High, and he was telling him he would send this angel with power before him. But I do believe that Mashiach was dealing with him at different times.
But do you have anything that you want to add to this last part? Or does anybody have any questions? Or is it open?
The water. There was a point that you just. What was that last point that you just brought out before the inquiry was given? What was the last point you just brought out?
That in verse 19, the mercy that Yahweh was speaking of applies to everyone.
You know what? No, I'm okay, Thawada. And so you had triggered something with me on that one. You said, oh yeah, so the mercy that he mentions is applied to everyone. And we're also gonna see
now, if he feels like showing mercy to a Gentile, he has the choice to do so, is what I'm saying.
And we see that he says he's going to do that, and then he says he's not going to do it this week. And I want you all to pay attention, please, when we get to the prophet portion. When we get to the prophet portion, what we'll hear is how the Most High says he's going to not show mercy, right? Because like he said right there, he said he will show mercy to, how he says the Quran, he said he'll show mercy, right?
I'll be gracious to whom I'll be gracious, and I'll show mercy to whom I will show mercy.
What is that? That's 19? Yeah, I'm trying to get to it now.
I think this is mentioned in Romans 9 also.
Okay. And when we get to the prophet portion, you all look out for that and see what the Most High says and see who he's not being gracious to or who he's not being merciful to in this week's Torah portion. All right. Because
he's speaking directly to the prophets.
Oh man, that's so powerful. Well, I yield the floor. All right, and that's a great point that you brought out. The water.
Does anybody have any questions for this chapter? Move on. No questions for 33. All right, say 34.
Exodus chapter 34, verse 1. The two tables or two tablets were placed. And Yahweh said unto Masha, hew thee 2 tables of stone, like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning to come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mount. and no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mount. Verse 4. And he hewed 2 tables of stone, like unto the first. And Mashah rose up early in the morning, and went up unto Mount Sinai, as Yahweh had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh descended in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of Yahweh. And Yahweh passed by before him, and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh Elohim, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression of sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the forefathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation. Verse 8. And Mashah made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped. And he said,
all right, stop there. Stop there. So we have Mashah doing the same thing he did at the beginning. He had to go back up with 2 more tables of stone to have the commandments read on again. And again, everybody had to stay back, even the animals, so that they wouldn't die. It was just for Mashah. And it says that the Most High proclaimed his name. So when he proclaims his name, it's not just his name, but it's also saying what type of power he is. So it says that he's, long-suffering, gracious, good, patient. It also has the other side, okay? He's not going to just let you get away with disobeying him. Again, it says the transgressions also get passed down to future generations. So obeying the Most High is not just, or rather disobeying him doesn't just affect you, it affects future generations. Especially if you have a few people that turns into a large group of people. Now that the disobedience just now spreads and gets passed down. So, but likewise, flip side, verse 7 says, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the children's children, and to the 3rd and to the 4th generation. So it goes both ways. So once we start to repent, then the Most High will start to forgive, what was done in the past. So it's a process. All right, go ahead.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34 and verse 8. And Mashah Moses made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped. And he said, if now I have found grace in thy sight, let my Elohim, I pray thee, go among us. For it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon the iniquity of our sins, and take for us thine inheritance. The covenant renewed, verse 10. And he said, behold, I make a covenant before all thy people to do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among which thou art shall see all the work of Yahweh, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no Allahiah, other Allahiah, for Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Allahiah. Lest thou, verse 15, Exodus chapter 34, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring with their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods. And one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifices. And thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a whoring after their gods. Verse 17, thou shalt make thee no molten gods. The
all right,
feast.
stop there. Stop there. Come. So the Moses asked forgiveness, and he points out that well, heartache, but he still asked him. He asked for the Most High to give us. The Most High, he pardons us, and he said he's going to use us. He's going to work his miracles through us. And then we allowed us to do to those nations. This is what scared the inhabitants of Jericho. That's also how the Most High said that he was going to basically put fame on his own name among the Gentiles. Because at that time, yeah, Montevideo, who was kind of like the top ruling nation, and nobody, not that anybody was doing it to take them down. And until after what he allowed us to do to the Amorites and all those other families of the Canaanites, that kind of just that put Jericho on edge, which is why you had Rahab who wanted to, she wanted mercy for her and her own family. Those soldiers made that oath with her. They kept their oath. They said, as long as you stay in this house, and you got this red cord or the sign, y'all be safe in here. Also, he makes mention here that as the Most High is going to do this for us, to not stray off and start worshiping other gods. Because why? They're going to lead us away from him and start having us go to false gods. So it's part. It's not just, do whatever we want and the Most High going to reward us. We have to obey what he said. We have to honor the contract that we made with him. That's what the covenant is. It's an agreement. As the standards or the terms of the agreement, can't be altered. They are what they are. All right, go ahead. Pick it up at 18.
Verse 18, Exodus chapter 34. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month of Abib. For in the month of Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All that opened the matrix is mine, and every firstling amongst thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou redeem it not, then thou shalt break his neck. All the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
Okay, stop there. All right. So now going into the three main holy days that all males have to appear to Yahweh in Jerusalem. So, but we've already gone through Passover, which is in unleavened bread, which takes place in the first month of the year. Okay, the real beginning of the year, okay, in the springtime. And then you had Feast of Weeks, which is a little later in the spring, and that's the thanks of like all the new growth and like a portion of your first new growth is given to the Levites and the priests. And then here at it's a lot. Feast of Ingather, okay, at year's end. So pay attention to this. Y'all may have heard or seen on like certain calendars where like you see Rosh Hashanah at the beginning of the year. And what that is a Jewish or an Amalekite custom that they follow as a Talmud. Okay, this is not the end of the year. The end of the year is the winter time when spring and year roll back around. The reason it says at year's end here is because it's referring to the last time of the year that you'll be able to gather in crops, not the actual end of the year. So that's why it's also called the Feast of Ingathering. So this feast has three names. It has Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Booths, and Feast of Ingathering. So you gather and then the last of your crops before the winter sets in. Also, up here in verse 20 is kind of like the representation of what the Most High did in Mount Zion with our firstborn versus the Egyptians' firstborn, where their firstborn were taken, our firstborn were redeemed. So we dedicate all our firstborns to the Most High. So like the first of our cattle and our sons. Now later on, the Most High substituted all the Levites instead of our firstborn being dedicated to him. So the Levites are automatically born into the service of the temple for the Most High. All right, go ahead up.
Exodus chapter 30.
23.
Which verse?
23.
Con. So Exodus 34. Basra, Exodus chapter 24, verse. I'm sorry, 34, verse 23. Thrice in a year shall all your men children appear before Yahweh Allahayaka, the Allahaya Yasharallah. For I will cast out the nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land when thou shalt go up to appear before Yahweh the Allahaya thrice in a year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shalt thou offer the feast of the Pesach. Neither shalt thou sacrifice of the feast of the Passover. Let me read it. I apologize. Exodus chapter 34, verse 25. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the fat sacrifice of the feast of Passover be left unto the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of Yahweh Allahaya. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. And Yahweh.
That's it for the long portion today. year for all the men children to appear before Yahweh is those 3 main holy days. That doesn't mean women can't be there, but the men absolutely have to be there unless they are unclean. It also says too that, you know, while we're away from our land, because we don't have to gather, the majority of the country is going to be gathered in this one city. And so while we're away, it says that the Most High is going to make sure that our borders are protected and nobody will try to steal our land. No leaven during Passover, so that's the unleavened bread. And then the last part, when you go to some people, and like I don't know about over here, but over, you know, back towards home, some people use milk to help tenderize the meat when they cook it. So it's just saying that you can't take whatever, if you're cooking like a young calf, you can't cook it in its own mom's milk. So they don't have nothing to do with Amalek's philosophy about eating, about not eating meat and cheese together. You know, because that's where they are pulling that philosophy from this verse here. So just be aware of that. That's all I have for this chapter. Floor is open for questions or comments.
All right, real quick. So I have a comment. So a couple days ago, Brother Genesis sent me a video, or no, actually, I don't know if he sent a video. He was talking to me about it. So recently we had beef bacon for Tabernacle. So first day Tabernacle feast. Huh?
You said beef bacon?
Yes.
Yeah, I love beef bacon.
Well, you know, I'm fairly new to it, but I was being introduced, and I was being told that that beef bacon is pork also, because it's meat that's all glued together, and I have to do the research on that. But I do know this, that today that is something that Amalek, Esau, and other nations do, is they will take that refuse, you know, that meat, and they will paste it all together, you know. And I just want to see your thoughts on that. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
So that is my first time hearing it, so I'll definitely look into it myself, because if that truly is going on, that's really wicked. But if it's a fact, then, you know, we'll have to, you know, repent and give it up. Because it's definitely a good alternative to pork and turkey. Turkey just takes dry.
Man, turkey bacon was whack. I'm gonna tell you a secret though. If anybody get those pepperoni, I don't like microwaves. I don't like eating out but I'm not about to teach it against it, because some of y'all sure don't do. But if you get those little turkey bacons, I mean not turkey bacons, I didn't mean to say turkey pepperonis, and if you put them in a microwave, they get crispy, like, you know, saying like you know, crispy, you know, turkey bacon, but it's actually got a more. And I've tried that, but I know a toaster ever works. But if anybody knows any information on that, you know, that would be good. And I just wanted to see if there's some other stuff to go with that. I don't want to take up too much time with the class, but just throwing thoughts out there. All right, Tawada, I yield the floor.
So, can I speak? Have y'all ever tried, like, instead of bacon, like turkey bacon, all that? Have you ever tried turkey sausage? Or chicken sausage?
Ooh.
Yeah. Because I buy this apple maple chicken sausage, and it tastes so good. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's just a different alternative from bacon. You know what I'm saying?
What's the name of the brand,
I'm just
sister?
throwing it out there for y'all.
What's the name of the brand?
I get it at, you can get any brand really. I just buy the cheap brand at Walmart. I just buy Walmart's brand. But you can get it at Whole Foods.
Really quickly, while we're on the subject, Aqua, has anybody heard about if the beef sausage is all right? Because I buy beef sausages, and the brand I get is Eckrich.
You can get Better Goods or Applegate. That's what I use.
Okay.
Chicken maple sausage. But I don't do beef because it takes so long for beef to pass through your intestines and for you to digest it and all that jazz. So
It takes way too long for beef to digest, and it's funky. And it's funky, man. Man, it makes you heavy. It makes you smell. It makes your gas smell. It's just way too heavy. I've been off of beef for a while, and I'll eat beef selectively. And when I do, I can definitely feel it. I can definitely smell it. You know what I'm saying? It takes so long to digest. Anything that's like any flesh, which I'm really not a big flesh eater, but but any meat that takes too long to chew, I'm not interested in. Like even if I go get chicken wings and it's like extra, saucy BW3s or whatever, I sometimes will chew that up and I'll just chew it for the flavor. But so I feel you on that. So we really got to spit it out. Oh, I'm sorry. What you saying?
I said, the day you spit it out.
I mean, I'll find a respectful way of discarding it. Like I do the same thing. Like if I eat pizza and if I don't want to have dough, like I'll do the same thing, man. But
that's a lot, man. It just reminds me of what children do, like they chew something up for the flavor.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep it to 100. I did that for a while, and it really helped me, one, to discipline how much I eat, and then two, it really helped me to discipline how much I recognize. How much does it take to chew this, man? How long is it gonna take for this to digest? So yeah, you're right, man. I didn't want to say it like that, but I'll find a respectful way of getting rid of it.
No, that's cool.
No, you got. That's a good way. That's a good way, man. Just like a child, like a baby does. Yeah.
No, that's good that people have discipline and look after their health. Also, going back to, I know we have laws. Everybody should know we have laws now that let us know what meats are lawful for us to eat. But it's going back to before the fall, we didn't eat.
All right. Leviticus 23.
All right, Leviticus 23. Yep. And start at verse.
Leviticus 23, KJV, Blue Letter Bible.
Start at Leviticus 23 and verse 39 and go to the end of the chapter Bible for sure.
Leviticus 23, starting at verse 39. I'm sorry. And it reads, also on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the 7th day shall be a Shabbat. And on the 8th day, forgive me, on the 1st day shall be a Shabbat. And on the 8th day shall be a Shabbat. And verse 40, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40. And ye shall take you on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and the willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before Yahweh Elohim 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in a year, and it shall be a statute forever. In your generations, ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Yashala to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Matazadium. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. And Masha Moses declared unto the Eladim Yashala, the children of Israel, the feasts of Yahweh.
Hallelujah. So, if you're able to do so, try to build a booth for you and your family to spend time in throughout all 8 days during the feast. I know a lot of mainly has to do with just not knowing that, you know, there's a difference between the tent and the Sukkot, which is the booth.
What's the difference?
Booth, say again?
What's the difference?
So the difference, you just read it here. So it says, in verse 40, and you shall take on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees and willows of the brook. So those branches and boughs is the material you're going to use to build your shelter. So it doesn't have to be exactly that type of wood, but it just needs to be some shelter made out of some type of wood. So this represents the temporary homes that we use on our journeys. So not just a tent. And remember also too, you to have shelter for your animals. And also too, this is supposed to be kept in Jerusalem. So if you can't make it there, if you can't make it there, make it there. If you can't, still try to build a roof, you know, where you are. And it doesn't have to be immaculate, you know, that doesn't have to be super, you know, detailed, just something simple. Now you see how Amalek does it. Amalek, man, they done made like whole buildings that look like apartments for tabernacle. You know, just, you know, trying to make money off of any and everything they can. And they got tabernacles you can buy that are not made out of wood. But we better stick to what the law says. The law says that and no, there isn't a specific measurement it has to be. It just has to be, you know, at least tall enough for you to sit up under or stand under. I've read, you know, ridiculous things in the Talmud that says that it had to be, you know, a certain height. All this other stuff that the law just doesn't say. So just, again, if you come across that, somebody tells you, be aware of that. Always adhere to what the Torah says, not anything else. I yield on that. Well, one more thing. So the Most High talking about, he made a
All right, yo, that was good, man. You gave me a lot to think about, man. I really appreciate that. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that? All right. Well, if not, I would like to add something if it's okay. So if we can go back to the verses on the bows, can we go back to that real quick? The bows and the branches. Thank you, son. What verse was that again, my lord?
I believe 40.
Verse 40. So I'm on YouTube right now. If anybody wanted to see the screen share, you'll be able to see it for later, along with here Shamar's his teaching. So you can compare it, you can couple the two together, and hear his teaching and see the audio, the video also. Which Shamar and everybody on the class, you can be heard on the Isaiah Yashar YouTube. So real quick, this is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40. And you shall take on you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees. And I remember being younger in the truth, and seeing this phrase right here, boughs of goodly trees, and just reading over it. And Shamar just brought this out so articulately, and the way that he explained it, you know, it just helped me too. So bows. So bows. I wanted to look at bows, and let's just check it out. All right. And ye shall take you on the first day the TORAH. All right. I body up the Hebrew word there is TORAH. It's pa-rash and ya. TORAH, and it's H6529. TORAH means fruit, or the boughs of fruit trees, the fruit produce, fruit offspring, children, prodigy of the womb, fruit of actions. We'll read down just a little bit more. This is pretty interesting. All right. So TORAH. And so now everybody knows how to say fruit in Hebrew. That's interesting. TORAH. P-A-R-A. Para. Oh, Y-A. TORAH. And TORAH definition 1, it says fruit, whether of the earth and field, corn, and then it gives the verses where TORAH can be found. Now, one of the verses, Isaiah chapter 3, verse 10, it says, ye shall eat the TORAH, or the fruit of your hands. Now, check out this comparison, though. This is pretty cool. What was the TORAH that Yasharallah carried? If you would like to, you could write this word down. It might be a new word. It might not be. It's called etrog. E-T-R-O-G. E-T-R-O-G. Etrog. Etrog is also known as a citron. To everything, there's a season and a time and a purpose for everything under heaven, right? So during this specific time frame, the Most High has the children of Yasharallah during the time frame. Next tabernacles, I want you to try this, practice it if you can. Get some lemons. And I've said this before, and brothers thought I was funny. They thought I was off. Just be saying stuff sometimes, right? So this is one of the symbols that the Most High gave us during the time frame of tabernacles. It's called the citron. Okay. All right. So let me read this real quick. This is Leviticus. All right. It says the citron tree is mentioned in the Bible in several contexts, most notably as the fruit of the splendid tree. So this lemon tree is important to us, like the almond. The lemon and the almond are important. Forgot about the almond? Don't forget about the almond branch. All right. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40, which is used for the Feast of Tabernacles, and Song of Solomon chapter 2, verse 3, where it is used to represent the beloved. The Hebrew term etrog or etrog is identified as a citron, fruit used from Israelite tradition. Notes from different articles gives the word citron wood. All right, so that's on my screen if anybody want to check that out. All right, some of that out. A little bit of paraphrase through. But this is a reading from Alexandria, from Flavius Josephus. Okay, and again, I'll try to be brief. Flavius Josephus, as Alexander, his own people were seditious against him, for at the festival which was celebrated with, he stood up upon an altar and was going to sacrifice. The nation arose upon him. So we rose upon him. This isn't a good thing. And pelted him with citrons. Pelted him with citrons, which they had in their hands. Because of their law, the Jews were required that the Feast of Tabernacles, everyone should have branches of a palm tree and citron, which thing we have elsewhere related. This is one example of the name of the plants, of the name of the tree, of the name of the fruit, and another way that you can be more culturally in touch with your nationality. I remember when we just did it for, we were able to participate with the House of Hark in Missouri. One of the things that I did was I went and looked for citrons. I went and looked for lemons, and I'm not kidding everybody. One lemon was like $4. One lemon was like, $4 or $6, like $4.46 or $6.40. And I was like, yo, what's going on? And I was like, oh, and it's the same thing that HaMo'ed does around different time frames of the season. If it has to do with the Israelite culture, which they keep as Jewish tradition, certain artifacts or things that have to do with us within that season, the price goes up. It's harder to find lamb, you know, et cetera and such, you know, shofar prices, you know, go up, et cetera and such. So I just want to show it, tell everybody this, you know, because, you know, as you hear, if you're, this is my last one. If you're looking on Isaiah Yasharallah, I'm not looking at the screen share, seeing how many people are viewing or not. But if you put in the word citron, all right, etrog, aka citron, you're going to pull up this beautiful image. You're going to see all of these lemons. All of these lemons. And when it says pelted him with lemons, see what happened was this man was going to stand up and give a speech against TORAH. He was going to stand up and give a speech against the ordinance of Yahweh. And Israelites, being the people that we are, pelted. You know what pelted means, right? It means we threw lemons at this man. Like, you know how a comedian cracks a bad joke and they, plow, get in the face with a tomato? Yeah, we was throwing hard, old school, antiquitous, paleo lemons. All right, so yeah, Khan. So the bowls of it. So if anybody would like to take time, it's not just about the lemons, or it's not just about the citrons. And I keep using the word lemon so you can get it into your head, a little citron. It's not just about that, Yasharallah, but you know, a lot of these customs that these other nations do, Amalek, Esau, you know, and those are the sort. They got these customs and traditions from us, and they're doing them. And you know, they're doing them like Isaiah 61 said. The Most High called for a nation called for him that was not called by him. So these people are practicing rehearses. They're rehearsing righteous acts, and Israelites are laughing at it. So take time, look at it. Fun fact: the water for your time. I yield the floor.
If nobody has anything else, we can move to the prophets. It's gonna be in Ezekiel 38.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, and we'll be starting at verse 18 today. Bahayawam in this day. Ezekiel chapter 38. So sometimes I transpose numbers. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 18. And it shall come to pass at the same time when Gog shall come against the land of Yasharallah, saith Yahweh Allahaya, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in my fire, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath, have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Yasharallah, so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. 21. And I will call for the sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith Yahweh Elohim. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain and great hailstorms, stones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
All right. All right. I got a question. Who is God today?
Well, as far as for what we believe and what I believe and what I've taught, you have Gog and Magog as being Russia, Germany. You have the Turkish nation that's in there today, and you also have who are called the Ionians. The Ionians. And why do I say that? Because we have Genesis chapter 10, where we can start at. And if anybody would like to see it, we're actually already up on the screen. This is the table of nations, Genesis chapter 10. And without too long of a too many words, that's where I stand at. If anybody would like to know why, then we'll present it. So Genesis chapter 10, these are the generations of Noah, of course. Verse 1, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Not going to read all down. Verse 6, the sons of Ham. All right. And then we have, wait, let's go back up. I apologize. The sons of, verse 2, I should have started there. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, Titus. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphtah, and Togarmah. The sons the sons of Javan, Eliash, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodan. By these were the isles of the Goyim, the Gentiles, divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. All right. I don't want to take too much time, but I'm just going to pull something, and I'm going to yield the floor. And then if you have something, I'm rocking with you. I yield the floor. Javan, real quick, I apologize. Javan is Ionia, or the people of Greece, right? And it's the sons of Jephthah. And the reason I brought them forward is you can find them in Malachi. It's either Malachi or Micah. I got to find it. And the Most High said, you have sold my gold and my silver to the Grecians. And when I looked up the Grecians there, it took me back to Ionians. Oh, here we go, right here. Ionians. All right. But Gog and Magog around the world, I think it's pretty much a consensus that Gog and Magog is Russia and Germany, which is interesting because you see the ramp up of the war with Russia, the bear lifted up on one side with his paw. That's documented in the book of Daniel with the bones in his mouth. You can see Russia being a main player in these end days rumors of wars. I yield the floor. If anybody has any agreements or disagreements, the floor is open.
The reason I asked is because I've heard entered into our land in the 40s. That's where those people came from. They came from Germany and Russia, and they were by that point they had been calling themselves Jews for a while, just through one learning from us, but then like kind of developing a false history of them being the people, and the land they're in, them claiming the land as their own. But that's who God is. Then it kind of makes it clear scripturally. If they've been at war ever since they stepped foot into that land.
Absolutely.
The war is increasing over there. Go ahead.
I was agreeing with you, I was saying absolutely.
So that's helping me understand these verses, because I honestly wasn't sure who God is.
And I don't think go ahead, I yield. Go ahead, please.
So I just asked ChatGPT that question, and this is what it gave me. It says that this is what it says. I'm gonna tell you, because I asked, this is the question I asked. So you have to ask it to tell you the truth and not the lie, because it'll give you the lies that it wants. But anyway, it says, I says, who are the nations of Magog today? Give me the truth. Dig deep. It gave it a minute, and it says this. It says what the Bible actually says, primary text, and it gives me Genesis 10:2. Magog is named as one of the sons of Japheth, son of Noah, that makes Magog an eponymous ancestor. Then it gives me Ezekiel, and then it gives me Revelation. But then it goes down and it goes into Josephus. I cannot talk or read today. Explicitly identifies the descendants of Magog with the Sumerians, the nomads north of the Black Sea. Josephus often equates biblical genealogies with known classical peoples. Classical geographers and historians, Greeks and Romans, often lumped various northern steppe peoples under names like Sumerians, Cemeterians, I don't know what that word is, groups coming from a broad Eurasian steppe zone. So basically, you're right, they're European. They're of European descent.
Yeah, you got that Black Sea is the whole Ukraine, Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, Russia, Georgia, Greece. So the Black Sea is situated in the middle. Okay, and then let me see if I can pull a screen share up. If since I'm talking about it, I want to be able to show it. Okay, so and thank you for that, Aquaf. That's excellent, because that's what we see. All right, so we have the Black Sea, and then the surrounding areas, are these same nations that Shamar was talking about, going straight up, saying Greece, Turkey, Georgia, Russia, saying, as we say, the Georgian mountains. All right, they say Esau came out of them caves from Petra to Georgia. All right, you have the Romanian mountains, Ukraine, Russia. Though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, from this will I bring thee down. Though thy habitation be high. All right, these are the people who respectfully Yahweh sent to live in the isles. All right, these are the isles of Hagoyim, the isles of the Gentiles. I'm gonna read this real quick, and thank you for that, Aquaf. I want to say this real quick. So I like to play with what's it? Not Alexa, but Gemini, Google Gemini, and I'll sit there and I'll debate with. I'll have conversations. So there's things that I've read that I'll ask Gemini, or I ask Google. Hey Google, is it true that Josephus believes in Jesus? And Google will be like, well, while the Bible doesn't give a specific representation, it doesn't show that Josephus, believed in Jesus. And then I'll come back with a follow-up question. But I won't be a question, it'll be more like a statement, like, well, it's written in, and I'll say where Josephus spoke of Jesus. And then Google will come back and be like, you're right, it does say that. And I just really need to use discernment, ask the Most High for discernment, and to dig deep and try it, because we're the biggest and coldest human computer that the Most High ever made. You know what I'm saying? So use these tools for good. And at the end, that's what it did was you was very specific, and it brought up, exactly what we needed to see. So if anybody wanted to, that would be on that screen share, or you can look up geographics. All right, geopolitics. You can look up geopolitics of the Black. My last one, if it's okay, if we have time. This is this is just one more note I wanted to bring forward. So this is from a book I suggest everyone get. It's called Isidore Seville's Chronicon. All right, Chronicon. It gives you, it's exactly what it sounds like: chronology, time frame, world history. It's a great breakdown of Genesis chapter 10, the Table of Nations, and all of the people that, which you'll be able to see is this is how it's broken down. And thank you, Shamar. I yield the floor on this. I don't know how much time left we have left. I don't know how much time left we have. Just trying to go out. Isidore Seville's Chronicon. All right, this book was not published in 2004. It's just that this page was published in 2004. Chronicon was done first century, early century, which is one of the reasons why I teach that the Earth is a sphere, without using crazy science. Just go back to old books. Chronicon is a very old book. All right, so you see first age of the world, second age of the world, third age of the world, fourth age of the world, fifth age of the world, sixth age of the world. Well, this is a wonderful book that I've had fun going through, which is why a lot of my arguments are just seems like they're weird, because we're coming from early world information. But check this out real quick, just so you can see how just cool this book just breaks down. And we're not going to go too much. We're just going to stop at Japheth. And the reason why we're stopping at Japheth is because we were talking about Gog and Magog. Well, if you go through Chronicon, you can find out about the sons of Shem, Ham, and Noah, and who were their sons and how they moved around, and who were their sons and how they became kings, right? Genesis, the Table of Nations, chapter 10 breaks it down for us and gives us the milk, right? And then the elders came later and they really dropped jewels on it. But check this out if anybody likes stuff like this. It starts off saying God created everything in 6 days. On the first day, he fashioned the light. The second, the firmament of heaven. The third, the land and the sea. And the fourth, the stars. The fifth, the fish, the birds. And the sixth, the animals and the beasts of burden. And finally, the first man, Adam, in his image. Now, that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip down to verse 5. And I'm going to read 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Lamech, at 190, bore Noah, who by divine oracle was ordered to build the ark in the 500th year of his life. In these times, Josephus, you see how these historians verify each other? In these times, as Josephus reports, some men who knew that they were about to die, either by fire or water, inscribed their discoveries on 2 columns made of brick and stone, so that the memory of those things which they had discovered in their wisdom might not be erased. Now, forgive me, but I want to start talking about the city of Atlantis, but I'm not going to. Just use your imagination and know that the old world had way more wisdom than what we have now. Their stone columns are reported to have withstood the flood and remain in Syria to this very day. In Noah's 600th year, the flood was recorded to have occurred. Josephus reports that his ark came to rest among the mountains in Armenia, which are called Ararat. there were 3 sons of Noah, out of which 72 nations were born. That is, 15 from Japheth, 30 from Ham, and 20 from Shem. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the homework has been done for everybody. Here's the page. Shamar read it off to you. He gave the inquiry and the breakdowns. And all you got to do is go back and look at the rest of the information for yourself. If you would like to learn more about Gog, Magog, Javan, who is also known as the Ionians, all right, the Grecians, the Greeks, who the Most High said we were going to slavery by their hands, and he's going to judge them back. If you would like to learn more about how those nations intermingled with the children of Esau, here's a historical document. It's not a mystical book. It's just another historical book. All right. With that, I yield the floor out. TORAH.
I was going to say too that those places that were named off, Esau eventually took over those places and took on their names. If they didn't outright erase them, like for example, Ashkenaz comes out of Japheth, but we know that Esau took on that name and he'll call himself an Ashkenaz Jew. And Jew isn't even his name either. If you can put that link to that book that you just mentioned in the group chat for everybody. And, yeah, from there, because I'm going to forget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a few other things, if anyone's interested, Ezekiel 38, which we're going to, have a really good time with. And I really believe that anybody can just do a basic Google search, Ezekiel 38, what we'll see is that Tubal is there also. All right. Tubal is mentioned, Meshech. All right. These are the European nations. These are the Japhetic Isles of the Gentiles that intermingled with them. All right. So I don't want to take up too much more time, but yeah, it's a lot of beautiful information there. So yeah, I'll share that page right now. And
whenever you're ready, 39, 1 through 16.
Thank you, sir. We're in the book of Ezekiel chapter 39. My bad. Okay. Slow. Ezekiel chapter 39, and I'm starting my screen share. I think we should be on it. Yeah, we are. All right. What verse you want to start at, my Lord?
1.
Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and leave but the 6th part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Yashar'allah, and I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thy arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Yashar'allah, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith Yahweh Elohim. I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people, Yashar'allah, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, the Holy One of Yasharallah. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith Yahweh Allahayah. This is the day wherefore I have spoken. Verse 9, Ezekiel chapter 39. And they that dwell in the cities of Yasharallah shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers and the bows and the arrows and the hand staves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoil them, and rob those that rob them, saith Yahweh Allah. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Yasharallah. The valley of passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers. And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude. And they shall call it the valley of HaMo'ed. Verse 12. And 7 months shall the house of Yasharallah be burying them, that they may cleanse the land. Yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, saith Yahweh Allah. And they shall sever out of them men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passenger those that remained upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it after the end of 7 months shall they search. Verse 15. And the passengers that pass through the land, when they shall see it, the man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the buriers have buried in the valley of HaMo'ed. And also the name of the city shall be Hamanah. Thus shall they cleanse the land.
Okay, come. All right, so this here sounds like a future prophecy. Possibly the same vision that Ezra sees when he's talking to Uriel, Malach Uriel, about the vision that he sees of Yahushai on top of the Mount of Olives, and that the nations of the world, the armies will be fighting against each other, and that they're going to stop when they see him and all try to come against him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he speaks, just with his breath alone, and they all turn to dust.
Can we read it?
So this could kind of, what is that, second?
13.
What? 13?
Gone. Second Ezra was 13. Can we start at 1? It only goes down to about 13. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 1, precept in Ezekiel chapter 38. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Verse 4. And whensoever that voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as when the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place wherein the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid to fight, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon the sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only the smell of dust and smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
Real quick. Because you're actually supposed to explain this to him.
So while you getting that, I'm just gonna chop it for a second, man. So that's a pretty clear cut right there as far as the Most High's judgment against the nations. Also, this is Ezra, like our Moray Shamar is telling us. This is Ezra that mentioned this. Ezra is the same one from the book of Esther, right? So this is Ezra mentioning the coming of our King, the coming of HaMashiach Yahushua. And out of his mouth, he's going to destroy the enemies. You have what's called Space Force right now. You can sign up for it. They hiring everybody to try to go to war with, what they believe is, what they know is a celestial event. So the governments of the world, as prophesied in Ezekiel chapter 38, I have to mention the phrase 3-eye Atlas. I have to mention the number has increased of how many comets are circling, going around. Just comets. Comets are supposed to, for what we've known, pass through and go past. And now there's a plethora of them outside of our firmament. So the world powers know about Hamashiach, about chariots, whether it's the East Indian Vedas or whether it's the Arabic, whether it's the Hebrew or Christian or the flying spaghetti monster. You know what I'm saying? It's every culture has a remnant of Yahweh and his judgment, his son, and his vessels. And this is a beautiful one, 2nd Ezra chapter 13. It says his multitude and his thousands and host of heaven with him. And everywhere he turned, the word is there is continence. The way he turns his face and everything. There's so many precepts in here, it's ridiculous. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. All right.
All right. Jump down to verse. Jump down to verse 29 and read the 38.
Verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake the fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, And the signs shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. Verse 33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land receive the battle they have against one another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be shown to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill engraved without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, for which of their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and torments them the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me. And whereas thou saw.
That's it. So he's telling them that they're literally going to be destroyed. Like, it's not a deep parable. It's these people are going to be fighting each other, and then see him, and then try to fight him, and he's not even going to have to lift a finger to destroy him. And so, whether if they just straight up turn to dust, then they're dust. But what we read in Ezekiel, there's going to be some people that's just, body parts, they're going to have to be buried. So I was saying that this could tie into the dream that's what's being shown by Malach.
Oh, I believe it does. That's my stance, because one, this hasn't happened yet.
Nope.
I don't care. Nobody try to flip. This hasn't happened yet, and there's a precept in Revelations 21 to go along with it, my Lord. I don't mean to select that, but yeah, I'm just salting the lamb and saying I agree with you, sir.
He's gonna. There's another place that says that he's gonna split the Mount of Olives in two. It's gonna create a valley.
Mm-hmm.
It might be in Isaiah. I'm not sure. I forget. All those people that are coming against us, they got to be destroyed, and the ones that's left, they'll have to learn the commandments. Specific questions about any of the verses that we covered, you can also support that into the gospel and all that. That's good though. We cover these and hit some of these names, because I know that, like, growing up in church, the names didn't mean anything. Like, redundant to read. It was, tedious, but like now we have a better understanding that those names are important, because it helps us figure out who is who, and also helps us, therefore it helps us understand future
I got a question. Can you bring out and well, you know what, man? Can we do that? We can do it at the class. Salakla. Khan, what the water.
Chapter 7, John chapter 7, and we're going to hit 31 to 43.
Come on, Khan. One moment, please. I apologize. Oh, I got it. Yay. John chapter 7. Blue Bible. Yay. All right. John chapter 7, starting at verse 31 to 43. All right. John chapter 7, starting at verse 31. And it reads, and many of the people believed on him and said, when Christ cometh, will he do more miracles than these which this man had done? The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him. And the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him. Then said Yahushua unto them, yet a little while am I with you, and then I will go to him that sent me. Ye shall seek me, and shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come. Then said the Jews amongst themselves, whither will he go, that we can't find him? Will he go into the dispersed amongst the Goyim, and teach the Goyim? That's this. Verse 36. What manner of saying is this, that ye said, ye shall seek me, and ye shall not find me, for I am, thither ye cannot come. In the last day of the great day of the feast, Yahushua stood and cried, saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. But this spake he of the Spirit, which they that believed on him should receive. For Ruach Chodesh, the Holy Spirit, was not yet given, because that Yahushua was not yet glorified. Verse 40. Many of the people, therefore, when they heard the saying, said, of a truth, this is the prophet. Others said, this is HaMashiach. But some said, shall HaMashiach come out of Galilee? Verse 42. Hath not the scripture said that HaMashiach cometh from the seed of David, and out of the town of Bethlehem, where David was? So there was a division amongst the people because of him. And some...
I know I cut it off quick, so it kind of took away some of the context. We'll cover what it gave us. So the beginning part, when he says, he says, you shall seek me and shall not find me, and whether I am, thither you cannot come. Because he's talking about going back to be with the Most High. He's going to be ascended to the position that he earned for his obedience. And so when they ask, is he going to go to the dispersed and teach the Gentiles? So, yeah, we were scattered at this point. You know, we had been scattered. And so, yeah, there were some of us that had to go teach them. And by default, you were going to have some actual Gentiles that would learn the Torah and follow. But that's not what, Yahushua was referring to. So in the last days, when he's talking about the living waters, it's referring to the truth of following the Most High, the way that the Most High said to follow. Because at this point, just like today, actually going on in Hamashiach's time. I mean, you look at examples of like on Paul's different journeys. When he went to a city where they had an idol for everything. They had a false god for everything.
Right, yeah, one that was for the unknown God.
He went to a city where he preached against idolatry, and a lot of the men in that city's main source of income was making idols, and the men wasn't having that, so they chased Paul up out of there because he was disrupting the money. So, but this is the living waters, the truth. The Holy Spirit is the spirit of truth, the truth of what Hamashiach taught, what Hamashiach teaches, that was to repent and keep the commandments. Philosophies like Christianity overcomplicates the message of the scriptures. And Yahushua, all the way back from Moses is made plain. Yahushua just taught us how to do it in a more understanding, patient, merciful manner. Because, the Most High, was not hearing us, and we was, ready to stone everybody for any little thing. So, I wish I had to show us how to do it correctly. So also too, this made people unsure of the prophecy about Yahushua. So people couldn't agree on, who it was. But the scriptures does confirm that he is the Savior. He does come from the seed of David. It's how he can be, on the throne. The tribes, the king come out of it is but that's what I got. Anybody have anything they'd like to add for it? Okay.
Not at this time for me.
Anything else? Well, I like to close out with the reading of the day. So let's hit Exodus 20 and 2-17, and we can close out.
Exodus 20, KJV, Blue Letter Bible. Exodus chapter 20. And it reads, I am Yahweh the Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Montezadium, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, am thy Elohim. Thy Elohim am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Verse 7, thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh the Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh him name in vain. Remember Shabbat Yom, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is a Shabbat of Yahweh the Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maid servant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and created and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh Allahayah giveth thee. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And all the people. Ba'asham. Yahushai. HaMashiach. Amen.
So I like to close out with that because it is a reminder of the main thing that we are commanded to do that not only honors the Most High, but also helps us function as a righteous right. It just takes the patience and bravery to actually do it and to teach it. Look at that. That concludes today's Torah portion class. The wife for joining in. Shalom. Have the rest of your day. Enjoy your feast. All right. What did you say you wanted to go over?
Never mind. Because it was back in the back, and then I had to go all the way back to pull it again. So, you know, and that's I'm learning how to do better at not interrupting class. I'm trying. So that's sometimes why I hit the point right then, because I'll forget if I don't write it down. So I apologize. I think as we go over the Torah portion, it'll come back up more, whatever it was. But I know it was something that had my interest. But I can yield the floor on it.
Okay, no, I'm done. Like I got like 30 minutes before I got to go. So if you got anything right now, try to cover it.
Okay, all right. Well, let's do that then. All praise. John chapter 7. If everybody get a chance, go back to verse 1 of John chapter 7. This is one of my favorite verses. As you go through your walk, and you know this life is going to be a lot of ups and downs. So just prepare for it. All right. Set thy heart aright. All right. So John chapter 7, verse 1. Check this out. After these things, Yahushua walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry. Right. In other words, he took the side roads because most of the Negroes was tripping with him. Because the Jews, tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Negroes that was left that weren't a part of the dispersed, we was tripping on. It says because they sought to kill him. Now, the Israelites, the Jews, the Hebrews, Feast of Tabernacle was at hand. So this whole narrative that we just read with this week's Torah portion, all of it flows together so beautifully. Yahweh is our protector. His son, Yahweh Shai, is our angel that's over us. Yahweh had his son give his life for us, and we're now covered in the blood of HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. Before we were covered in the blood of HaMashiach Yahweh Shai, Yahweh was going to kill us by the thousands, if not as a whole. As Shamar brought out earlier, what did the Most High say to Mashiach? He said, "Get away from them, that I might burn all of them up in a sudden and make a whole new nation out of just you, Mashiach." So Mashiach, as Shamar brought out, was our tabernacle. He was our covering. He was our protector. He was our grandfather that was praying over us. Is that right? You see that? You rock with that, Shamar?
And he still technically would have been keeping his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he still had a descendant left to keep it going with Moses if the Most High was going to go there.
And that's beautiful. So I say Thawadi Hawa for our elders, for Zaquan Masha, for praying over us, because none of us will be born right now. Masha could have been like, you know what, Yahweh, you right. These niggas is wicked. And that one girl over there, I seen her talking to this man, and then she was talking to that man, and that man over there, he was stealing socks. He was taking fringes off of other. Masha could have sold us out, threw us up under, but Yahweh is so good. He made a man that was meek. Surely I'm no Moses. I'm no Joseph. You know, crumbest, wormest thou, crumb worms, worlds. The point of saying such is to say, the Most High made a meek man named Masha or Moses, and Masha reminded Yahweh of his words. That's what we got to do. We got to remind Yahweh of his words. And then he said, Yahweh, if you do this, these Egyptians that you delivered them from, us from, they're going to say you weren't strong enough to take care of them. Ain't that a fly move to do? You had to know the Most High friendship way, starting with Deuteronomy chapter 31. Deuteronomy chapter 30, all the way up to 31. Then we get to this week. The tabernacle was set outside. If you go back one chapter, the tabernacle was set outside, and the Most High spoke to Masha as a man speaketh to his friend. Right? So Yahushua in John chapter 7, during this holy convocation, which is so dope, before Yahushua was born, he gave the instructions. He watched us carry out the instructions. And then he was born. He came and kept the tabernacles with us. Now, when the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand, his brethren, this is the part that struck me to my core. Now, let's go back up to this, right? Verse 1. Because the Jews sought to kill him. Yahushua wouldn't walk. After these things, Yahushua walked in Galilee, and he wouldn't walk amongst his own kin like Southern Kingdom kindred like him. Because his own brethren sought to what? Kill him. Ain't that something? Go through it for your own life and for your walk. You'll see. It's interesting. Look at this. His brethren therefore said unto him, go, depart thence, leave from here, and go up to Judea, that thy disciples may see the works that thou doest. If you haven't peeped this yet, this is them mocking Yahushua. They want to tell him, go up there, O Lord, and we will see you do all thy good works. They were saying, you believe you the Messiah? All right, we'll go up to, hey, it's tabernacles. You know, everybody's supposed to meet, 3 times a year, right? So, you know, you're going to be there, Joshua, right? You're going to be there, Yahushua. Okay, we'll go up there and prove to everybody the Messiah in front of everybody on tabernacle, since you claim you're the Messiah, bro. That's really how it was. They was planning. And I love this because Yahushua, he's our king, he's our savior, you know, and he knows how to, everything is known of him. But 2 things. One, notice this whole narrative of John chapter 7, this whole Torah portion is beastly beautiful. It's so many more jewels that we can always continually plug and pull because his word is a living word. But verse 3 and 4, watch this. His brethren, therefore, hurtful. They ain't changed nothing from the time of Joseph to his 12, his 11 brothers, to the time of Yahushua and his brothers. Therefore said unto him, depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe in him. That verse right there, it's like, dang, not even Hamashiach's own brethren. So that should tell you something for your individual walk. All right, don't be surprised. Do better than I did. Then Yahushua said unto them, now his comeback game is ridiculous. He said, my time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. Yahushua was so dope. Excuse me, I apologize. He is so chaya, he's so life. His comeback, his clapback. And if you haven't learn him. Yahushua had a crazy fly mouth. He said, it's not my time to die, but you can die at any minute. It's not my time. My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. Isn't that a crazy statement? Now, I'm not suggesting that we say this to nobody or anything like that, but what I am saying is Look at the dynamics. Feast of Tabernacles, temperatures, attitudes, personalities turn up. There's usually, you know, a lot of spiritual warfare going on through holy convocation time frames, the Shabbat, new moon, etc. Passover, things go crazy, all kind of stuff. Tabernacles, you know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters, we ready to kill each other and then we ready to eat together. You know, Hamashiach went through the same thing. All right. So I wanted to just show you and encourage you all. Know that one, not only did our Savior keep the Feast of Tabernacles, our Savior lived. He lives now. Christ is King. Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. All right. All of those things that you heard are true. Was, is, and is soon to be. Waiting to sit at the right hand of the Father, the judge, the quick and dead. All those things are true. Quick and dead. All those things are true. So we see him walking in the flesh. We see him keeping the feast days. I'm pretty confident maybe he has citrons. Let's give another example of tabernacles. My last one. When the babies and everybody was on the side of the road and they were saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Everybody remember that, right? Well, guess what? They were waving palm branches to him too. This is a Mashiach, one of his last tabernacles. On the upcoming time frame, it will be his time to die. On the upcoming time frame will be Pesach, Passover, where he knows he's going to be sacrificed for the blood of his people, including his own brothers who didn't believe in him. So Hamashiach clearly shows us, he clearly warns us, and he tells us, this week's Torah portion is beautiful. Nobody can take us out of the care or the protection of Hamashiach. If you read further down into this week's Torah portion, starting around here where we are, 28, Hamashiach argued his point of worshiping his Father. And they stood in front of the scribes and Pharisees and proclaimed his Father in front of everybody. So tabernacle season time frame, Hamashiach is our covering. We were given law, statutes, commandments to keep us safe. And everything that you can try to do, apply. Every small thing. Maybe try some lemons next time. Know that Yahweh Shai is coming to deliver his people. And soon. And which is what that Ezekiel 38 and 39 was about. It's about the world war, the ending of all wars. The ending of all wars. Hamashiach standing over Jerusalem, blowing out of his mouth, blowing all of his enemies by fire to smithereens, and then people being paid. See, that's another good point. This proves that there's going to be death even in the next world to come when Hamashiach returns. I don't know where we got that Jehovah's Witness picture from, where everybody gonna have on khakis and button-up shirts, and the women gonna have long blouses, and you know what I'm saying, they're gonna have skirts down to their ankles with, you know, little black, you know, baby doll shoes, and we all gonna be eating fruit in the open field. Nah, some of that, but you got another part that Shamar wonderfully. He's the man to read this Torah portion too, because Shamar is a man of war. All right, very humble, but he's a man of war. And that's something that we see is Hamashiach is going to kill again and again and again. He said, if we don't obey, he said he'll strike us 7 times more. He ain't saying I'm going to ease up off of us. He said he's going to strike us 7 times more. Then send us into slavery. So with the blast of fire and the tempest that comes out of his mouth, after that, Ezekiel chapter 38, we see it's going to take 7 months, 7 months of constant employment of Israelites going through, putting down a flag. Hey, here go a bone. Bop, putting the flag in the ground. Red flag, there go a bone. This land is hey, it's unclean over here. It's unclean over here. Where you at? We on the radio. Hey, where you at? Oh man, I'm walking past, man. Some bones over here. Hey man, send the cleanup crew. Why? Because according to scripture, Yahweh walks amongst us. And he will not dwell where there's any uncleanliness. So he's going to have the bodies of his enemies. Space Force. Look up Donald Trump Space Force. Look up how the world are pulling their militaries together to try to go to war with whatever they think is in the sky right now. So it's all biblical prophecy being fulfilled. And it's so beautiful because the Father warns us. And it might not be this week, but at least I'm keeping you on point. It might not be that week, but at least I'm keeping you on point. Not me, Yahweh's keeping us on point. It might not be it, but one of these holy convocations. Because remember, all of these convocations are shadows of things to come. And who can pretend like they haven't noticed from November 2024 all the way to now, from volcanoes to mass chariot sightings to earthquakes to the sun looks scary. The sun looks scary. It's not just a big pretty ball. It's not the Teletubby ball with the cute shiny baby face. The sun looks terrifying right now. Well, Thwada for your time. Fear the Most High, keeps commandments. All right, love your neighbor as yourself. Thwada Shamar and Shabbat Shalom. All right. Well, that seems like that was a I guess that was a closeout for the conference call. Right? Okay. Well, we're still streaming live, and I'm grateful for the time of shalom. I need to take this quiet time. You know, I got a little bit, so let's use this real quick. All right. So this is what we read from today. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 33. All right. We read verse 12 through chapter 34, stopping at verse 26. The prophet Ezekiel. I really wanted to get on Maharka's head about this. Y'all be careful. Don't be talking about getting on Maharka's head, okay? All right. He reports. I really want to. I was really hoping that Maharka would speak on this because his ministry is what? It's E37. E37 Entertainment. Well, for those of you who know, E37, Ezekiel chapter 37, it refers to the valley of dry bones. And how after the valley of dry bones is given breath, how we as a nation will rise up. But check this out. That's right before this chapter. So after Yahweh rises up the army of Israel, I don't need to do air quotations. After he raises up the army of Israel, then there's going to be a great war. See, I think we use Ezekiel 37 as metaphorically, when I think it's duality. Ezekiel 37, I believe, not only going to be physically, but it's going to be metaphorically, because we spiritually are dry, dead bones. But this war that's going to happen in Ezekiel chapter 38 is not metaphorical. It's a physical war that Yahweh does. And he even, I don't know if you all caught a lot of that, but he gives us superpowers in that verse. Did y'all hear that? He gives us powers, and we're going to be destroying his enemies. Even brought back to life. There's another precept to what we just read in Ezekiel chapter 38 in Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 KJV. Look at this real quick. Wisdom of Solomon chapter, and another precept to this. Another precept to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3, Ezekiel chapter 38, I believe Revelations 21, 2nd Ezra chapter 13. These talk about the coming of HaMashiach, you know, which I'm befuddled right now. I'm befuddled how there's so many Yasharim who don't care about what's happening in space. Like, you know, somebody got something they want to say? Class over, I guess. I'm just politicking. Anybody want somebody to say something? All right. Okay. Well, again, so I was saying I'm befuddled how silent Yasharim are about what's going on in space. You go and read Revelation chapter, which one is to talk about the great star that fall out of the sky. All right. It's mind-boggling. But I yield the floor on that subject. So this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3, verse 1. It says, "But the souls of the righteous are in the hands of Yahweh, and there shall no torment touch them." So people die. We die in this case. We die in this case. Look at this. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken from misery. And they're going from us to be utter destruction. But they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet their hope is full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For Yahweh approved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold is tried in the furnace, so has he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. And in a little time, wait, what? And in the time of their visitation. Wait, you mean after he died, you're going to revisit? Absolutely. And in the time of their visitation, they shall what? Shine and run to and fro like sparks amongst the stubble. I'm getting so many precepts because we just read this in Ezekiel chapter 38. We just read this. So as the Most High destroys other nations, he used Yahweh Shemarla Dagam Khan Shalom. Yahweh used the other nations as stubble and Israel to destroy them. I pray I'm on the right side of the winning field. Chag Sameed, everybody. Chag Sameed is modern Hebrew. All right, happy feast. I'm going to say Barawak Shakawath, which means blessed. Sukkot or bulls. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Next week's Torah portion will be my class for my reading. It's just an honor to stay on and build with everybody. All right. Be invited in Shamar's class. All right. So, Yabra Kami Abasham Shai. Shalom. I'm going to take advantage of this time frame while the baby's asleep and keep the Sabbath. I'm going to rest. Right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. The water for your time. Shabbat Shalom. And to everybody that's watching on live, I'll say the same thing. I'm going to end off. I'm going to end the video. And if anybody would like to politic or go more over these things, which is so beautiful because there is so much more, you can hit me up. Right. Shabbat Shalom. Kwame Asherala. Remember the Sabbath day. Keep holding.